I think many of us can relate to the movie Office Space. A boss that gives off an air of superiority, places unrealistic demands on your time, maybe just seems a little bit oblivious to their overall impact on you. Sound familiar at all? Most of us have or will work for someone that have these traits. But it doesn't have to be this way. Bosses, managers, leadership, supervisors, whatever the title, ultimately they all have the same goal: to make people do work that makes your organization successful. But what makes a leader successful? And more importantly, how can you become a successful leader? Does being a leader mean isolation and separation from your team? Or can it look a little bit more like this, inclusive of everyone, including the leader? You can be friends with the people that you lead. In fact, it makes many aspects easier. But there is a limit as to how friendly you can get with your team while still being an effective leader. But if your leadership role demands that people unquestioningly follow your every order, you will struggle to make that happen if you're buddies with them. Too much familiarity can invite questioning and doubt rather than immediate action. A lack of familiarity, however, can also invite the same. The key is to strike the right balance. And there is no right answer. It will depend on the people that make up your team and the purpose of what your team is for. But there are leadership styles that can help you get the best out of your team while minimizing negative potential. Servant leadership is one such style. However, it stands in stark contrast to colloquial understanding of boss or leader. Servant leadership demands that you put the needs of your team above everything else, your mission, and most importantly, yourself. Your role is to identify, support, and follow up on the individual needs of your team members. This leadership style follows along the lines of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When people's needs are met, they can spend their time and attention being focused on the mission, whether that's increasing sales or saving lives. With servant leadership, your team will end up knowing that you are there for them, but care must also be taken to ensure that they also know that they then must in turn be there for the customer, client, or end user of whatever your team provides. Responsibility and accountability. These words have been known to send a chill down the spine of many, many people. They are, however, an indispensable part of leadership. So who owns the success of your leadership? Do you pat yourself on the back for a job well done? Or do you heap that praise on top of your team for their work? What about failures? Who owns responsibility for failures? Well, ultimately you, the leader, does. You are responsible for everything that your team does or does not do. You are responsible to ensure that your team understands their mission and what the expectations are. You are responsible for getting the very best out of your team. If you have failures, and you will have had a breakdown in one of those areas. Whether it was avoidable, foreseeable, or not, you, the leader, missed it and are accountable for it. Now, that doesn't mean you need to be infallible. In fact, it means that you must be even more capable of trusting your team. Leaders need to be open and even vulnerable at times. Say, I don't know. Say, well, what do you think? And when appropriate, invite input from every other member of your team. One quote that I absolutely love comes from Simon Sinek. He's a great speaker, especially on the topic of leadership. And he said, quote, "So I think one of the most difficult things for anybody in a leadership position to get comfortable with is to say, I don't know. I need help. Or can somebody help me? Or can you do this with me?" Close quote. A leader does not need to have all the answers. Your job as a leader is to lay out the overarching goals and to help support your team in finding or creating the answers. As for who receives the accolades for when you get things right, the whole team does, and that includes you as the leader. But, as the leader, be sure to praise each individual personally, with personalized feedback on a job well done. They will then know that their personal efforts were recognized, and most will go above and beyond again in the future as a result. Their success is your success. Now, leadership is synonymous with caring, caring about individuals in your charge, or caring about your mission and goals. Great leadership occurs when you can blend those two together in a manner that is otherwise indistinguishable. And finally, great leadership comes with great responsibilities, but also great outcomes. Thank you.